When a woman goes silent, most men panic. They overthink. They chase. They text, call, double text, beg for air response. But here's the harsh truth. Her silence isn't empty. It's calculated. It's revealing. And it always means something. The mistake most men make is trying to fill that silence with noise. Their own insecurity, their fear, their need to fix things immediately. But a stoic man doesn't react. He observes. Because silence isn't the absence of communication. It's a form of communication in itself. And in that silence, she is telling you everything. Now let's uncover what that silence really means and how to use it as power, not punishment. When a woman goes quiet, your brain screams, "What did I do wrong?" You feel rejected. You play every conversation in your head. You check your messages to see if you missed something, and then you start sending out the, "Hey, are you okay?" text followed by "Did I do something?" followed by the final nail in the coffin. Just tell me what I did wrong. Let's pause right there. Why do you need to know so badly? Here's the first stoic truth. Neediness is not love. It's emotional instability. And women don't respond to panic. They pull away from it. Imagine being in a calm room and someone bursts in shouting, "Tell me what's wrong." Would you feel safe, heard, respected? Exactly. When she goes silent and you immediately reach for control, you lose power. You hand her all of it. And not because she asked for it, but because you gave it away willingly. Here's your pattern interrupt. Instead of assuming it's your fault, ask yourself, what does this silence reveal about her? Not about you, about her. Is she testing you? Is she hiding something? Is she avoiding a deeper conversation she's scared to have? Because believe me, her silence always has a motive. Let's explore the first one. She's testing your emotional discipline. Silence can be a form of emotional calibration. She's asking silently, "Can you hold your frame?" A woman wants to feel your presence, not your pressure. If she senses you can't handle a few hours or even days of space, she learns something valuable about you. You're reactive. You're ungrounded. You seek validation externally. Stoicism flips that entirely. The Stoic man says, "I remain steady not because I don't care, but because I don't need you to behave a certain way for me to feel whole." Think about that for a second, because that's the exact energy women find magnetic. Let me give you a scenario. Imagine she pulls back after an intense week of texting and connection. No warning, just silence. You're tempted to say something, but instead you pause. You live your life. You go to the gym. Handle your goals. You're present in your own lane. She sees that. She feels that. And something shifts in her respect because you didn't crumble. You didn't chase. You didn't validate her fear that you're like every other emotionally desperate man she's tested. You stayed calm like a mountain while she moved like the wind. But what if the silence isn't about you at all? Let's shift the lens. She's emotionally overwhelmed and retreating into herself. Sometimes silence isn't a strategy. It's a survival mechanism. She's going through something. Family issues, trauma, doubt, exhaustion, or she's realizing things about herself that she's not ready to admit, let alone say out loud to you. You think she's ignoring you, but in her mind, she's protecting you from the storm. The Stoic man doesn't assume the worst. He stays observant. He knows that not everything deserves a reaction. Instead of texting, "Why are you ignoring me?" he simply checks in calmly. "I'm here if you want to talk." No pressure. That kind of masculine softness, strength wrapped in emotional intelligence, is rare. Most men either overreact or go completely cold. You're not most men. And that brings us to another uncomfortable truth. She's already disconnected emotionally, and you're just now feeling it. Let me ask you this. Have you noticed the silence starting slowly? The good morning text stop. She doesn't ask how your day was anymore. She seems distracted, detached. This kind of silence isn't about taking space. It's about emotional withdrawal, and it usually means one thing. She's done mentally, but not physically gone yet. That's a terrifying place to be. Because here's the psychological fact. Women tend to leave you emotionally before they ever leave you physically. So, by the time you feel the silence, she's already miles ahead of you. And when that happens, chasing her will never bring her back. It'll just confirm her decision to leave. This is where emotional mastery becomes your lifeline. You must learn to let her be silent without making it about you. This is their power move, because when you can do that, when you can hold the silence without panic, when you can stay grounded, focused, and still full of purpose, you become unforgettable. Most men fall apart. They become reactive, dramatic, or resentful. You remain composed, stoic. You understand that silence is information. It tells you what words often won't. It shows you what she truly values. It tests your self-control, and sometimes it reveals the painful truth you didn't want to accept. But in all of it, you grow stronger, more clear, more magnetic. Because your strength isn't in how loudly you respond, but in how calmly you wait. You've kept your calm. You didn't chase. You didn't beg. You observed in silence like a stoic. But now you start noticing something strange. Her silence isn't just space. It's strategic. It feels manipulative. Welcome to one of the most dangerous forms of silence. She's using silence as control. This is where the game flips. She's not overwhelmed. She's not thinking. She's watching. Watching how much of your self-worth depends on her presence. She's pulling away, not because she needs space, but because she knows you'll chase. This is the test of all tests. Not just of patience, but of identity. If you let her silence define your actions, you hand her the blueprint of how to control you emotionally. Read that again. Because a woman who uses silence this way is not trying to build connection. She's trying to build control. But here's the twist. The more you chase her silence, the louder your neediness becomes. The more attention you give it, the more powerful it gets. A woman may respect your love, but she will never be attracted to your emotional dependence. And that brings us to the Stoic law of power. Withdraw your energy to reclaim your influence. When you do that, when you stop feeding her silence with your insecurity, everything changes. You take the wheel back. Let's pattern interrupt for a moment. Imagine this. You're on a plane. Mid-flight, the pilot goes completely silent. No announcements, no turbulence report, nothing. Now, would you prefer a pilot who panics and yells, or one who calmly flies through the storm without needing applause? You already know. That's the same masculine energy women crave when they go silent. A man who doesn't need to react just to feel relevant. Now here's the curveball. She might be comparing you to someone else. Yes, it hurts. But we're here to speak truth, not sugarcoat it. When a woman goes silent and cold, sometimes it's not emotional regulation, it's evaluation. She's emotionally distracted. Maybe talking to someone else. Maybe imagining what life would be like with someone who gives her a different kind of spark. Now, before you spiral, don't. This isn't about you being unworthy. It's about emotional contrast. And contrast is often what confuses a woman's attachment. But here's the Stoic response. You don't fight for someone comparing you. You rise above it. You double down on your mission. You get sharper, stronger, clearer. Because if a woman's silence reveals her detachment, your silence will echo with certainty. You're not fighting to keep her. You're standing to keep yourself. And sometimes that's when the shift happens. Cher turns but sees you differently. Here's the moment most men never experience. When you hold the line, when you stop reacting, when you embody masculine calmness, she starts to feel a pull. It's not just attraction. It's gravity because something in her senses that you don't need her validation. And that's rare. And rare is powerful. When she comes back, it won't be because you begged. It'll be because she saw something deeper in you. A man who leads with presence, not pressure. Now, what do you do when she returns? You don't punish. You don't gloat. You don't say, told you so. You receive her calmly. You allow the space for conversation. But you don't compromise your standards to keep the peace. Why? Because boundaries are attractive. And calm men who respect themselves are irresistible. But here's the final truth you must be prepared for. Sometimes silence means it's already over. She just hasn't said it yet. This is the silence most men are afraid to face. It's the absence that feels like a ghost. No arguments, no motion, just nothing. That's the silence of goodbye without the decency of closure. She's moved on emotionally, maybe even physically, and she's hoping you will take the hint so she doesn't have to say it out loud. This is where many break, but Stoic men don't break, they accept. Here's how you handle this moment. You grieve. Privately, you reflect honestly, and then you detach gracefully, because the Stoic doesn't chase what's walking away. He blesses it, releases it, and sharpens his focus on what he controls, himself. And here's the paradox. When you accept her silence fully, when you no longer need our response to validate your worth, that's when you become untouchable. Women sense that. They may never say it, but they feel it. The moment you become okay with her silence, you become magnetic. Not because of what you say, but because of what you no longer need to say. Let me leave you with this. In a world filled with emotional noise, the man who can't sit in silence with full presence is Theon who's remembered. So when she goes silent, don't panic, don't chase, don't react, watch, wait, reflect, and let your response be calm, grounded, and unshakable. Because silence isn't the end.